Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right. Hello. Good evening and welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore. Tonight, we have a special edition podcast show. With us, we have Dominic Chef Dom Williams. He's the operations manager and owner of Finishing Touches Catering, Meal Prep, and Food Truck. Sous Chef Dominic Williams has enjoyed cooking since the age of 13. Although his first passion was football, Chef Dom found that his love for cooking quickly became his prominent passion, affording him the opportunity to express himself through creativity while giving to others. Chef Dom enjoys the business of food as well as sharing with his clients the benefits of freshly prepared dishes. He firmly believes that health determines your wealth and that your medicine cabinet should be in your refrigerator. Understanding that cooking at its best embodies math, science, physics, and art, he seeks to prepare dishes that are neutrally balanced while remaining visually appealing and pleasing to the palate. A native Washingtonian, Chef Dom attended Elizabeth City University, where he studied business management. He is currently, like I said, the business and operations manager for Finishing Touches Culinary in Newington, Virginia. He serves a diverse client base, including MedStar, Export Fitness, 202 Strong Fitness, Kingdom Care Senior Village, Amazon Fresh, and Sibley Hospitals, to name a few. Chef Dom also believes in community. This belief leads him to support many charitable events and activities throughout the community. And as I said, let's all try to welcome and bring on my amazing special guest, Dominic Chef Dom Williams. Welcome, sir.
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great.
Well, it is such a pleasure to have you on. It has been a while since the last time we had seen each other. It's been at least a year or even maybe longer, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about you being on board. Why don't you just take a couple of minutes and tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself and what you've been up to lately?
Okay. Well, again, my name is Dominic Williams. I'm sous chef and operations manager of Finishing Touches Culinary. We're a local-based business. We do a lot of meal prep, catering, weddings. We're in the process of securing a food truck. We do, soul food, but we're really into the healthy stuff. The kale, the string beans, the asparagus. We use a lot of sea salt, heart healthy oils, things like that. We believe that health is wealth. In my community, I'm from Southeast Washington, D.C., and there's not a lot of healthy food options.
Mm-hmm.
So, I didn't really know how bad going to the carry-out, and going to Popeyes, how bad that really was for us. But as I got older and I started to educate myself in food, I started to realize that what we're putting into our body determines what we get out of our body. And a lot of the ailments that we all face, as a culture,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it is based on, what we eat, our sugar intake, our water intake, consuming too much high fructose corn syrup, just all these different things that we were never educated about, but
Mm-hmm.
they're determining, the longevity of our life.
Absolutely. So you talk about the fact that you're a Washingtonian, but let's kind of backtrack just a little bit and let's talk about the fact that what really got you into it? What really inspired you to want to become a chef? Because when I, did your bio and in your bio, you talk about being in football. So how'd you go from football into cooking? And especially at the age of 13, what really inspired you to do all of that?
Just watching my grandmother, my family is from Mississippi. My grandmother is from, Mississippi. So she believed in having dinner ready at 5:00.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm coming home from school, she's already cooking dinner. And there were times, where I would help her. And even though she may not have some of the techniques that I picked up, she had a passion for food. And she showed me the importance of cooking with love. You can taste the love. in her
Right.
food.
Hmm.
Something I apply, and that's a part of the reason why I thrive, in the cooking field. Number one is because of how I treat people, and how I maintain relationships, but also just I try to make sure that you can taste the love in every bite of my food.
And that's important because we all know that eating has to come with a fulfillment, right? And I even noticed that you talk a lot about in your bio how, it's an artistic thing. It's not just about the way it tastes, but it's the way it looks. Because I know when I'm cooking at home, if it doesn't look good to me, I'm not going to eat it. I'm not going to serve it to anybody else, right? So, yeah. So talk about how you prepare some of your dishes. I'm going to bring up also one of your picks that I wanted to show with some of the dishes that you do provide, because I think that kind of gives people an understanding of exactly what you're talking about here. So we're going to pull this up here so if everybody can see that, and I'm sure you can see that too. So I have your lovely face on there, but go through some of the dishes that you actually talk about that we see here on the picture here.
Okay, so I think bottom right, we're looking at a steak. I can't see the whole picture, but I
Right.
believe that's, potatoes. Like I like to start off with the best ingredients,
Mm-hmm.
something fresh. I try to never use anything frozen, anything out of a can, and I try not to use any prepackaged seasoning. So I'm making, all of my seasonings, salt, pepper, paprika, sea salt, not regular iodized salt, olive oil,
Mm-hmm.
avocado oil, whenever I can, which I think is one of the best heart healthy oils that we have access to. In the middle, it's kind of your cheat day.
Okay. I was gonna say, so because how do you make like any type of pasta dishes healthy? Because we all know not all pasta is bad, but what makes you determine that healthy?
Well, with the pasta dish, you want to go with maybe a wheat pasta, something gluten free, and you want to add as many fresh vegetables as you can, to make it as healthy as possible. Pasta and noodles are known to contain a lot of carbs.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, carbs break down into sugar, when you metabolize them. So you don't want to eat, too much pasta, too much rice, too much potatoes. Like most of the foods that we like, the saying is kind of
Mm-hmm.
like it's white, it ain't right. You
Right.
know, like
Mm-hmm.
bread, these things aren't good for you at all. But
Mm-hmm.
so you get a wheat fruit pasta, you get a gluten-free pasta, a tricolored pasta. There's just so many options now. You can make a zucchini noodle, just so many different things that you can do to
Mm-hmm.
create a healthier dish for yourself and your family.
Exactly. Yeah. Because we all know, like you talked a little bit earlier, where our parents and our family members, they did what they had to do in order to make the food taste good. But we all know everything that tastes good and looks good is obviously not healthy for us. So you preparing these dishes that still look good and taste good is very important because we know if we eat better, we live longer, right?
Right,
It gives us
right.
the opportunity to live longer and it keeps us healthier. So talk to me a little bit and to our listeners about how you actually started the business per se. We know that you're a chef. So what was the process that you went through in order to become a chef and then opened up the business itself?
Um, well, I was a United States Department of Defense contractor for probably about 7, 8 years, and I I had a football injury that lingered from college until later on into my adult life. So there came a point where I actually had to have surgery, and
Mm-hmm.
it was an ordeal. It was a hardship. So I was out of work for a while. I had to learn how to kind of walk again. It was a very invasive surgical procedure. And during that downtime, I just started about, like, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I want to be known for? What is it that I can do that doesn't feel like work? What is
Mm-hmm.
my passion? And I have a very musically inclined family. A lot of my family members sing. So during that time, I kind of started up a studio and got into music production. But food, was always my love since a young child. And so I partnered with my business partner, Executive Chef Daniel Burrows. He was actually the sous chef for Daniel Snyder, the Washington Redskins, and he
Mm-hmm.
also was the chef for the Washington Nationals. And we were working in a restaurant in U Street, And that's kind of where I started to learn the techniques that elevate you from maybe a home cook,
Mm-hmm.
to a chef. So I got into somebody that was really talented and willing to kind of show me the ropes. And I benefited from it tremendously. So, just within the last 2, 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
my technique, my execution has just taken, leaps and bounds. And for my friends and family members, they can see, they can tell.
Right. Well, and that's awesome. And that's the thing that most people need to understand about when you're coming into business. You want to collaborate. Collaboration is the key to all success because, as we all know, you can't survive any type of business unless you are working with the people, right? So you were very smart about collaborating with someone who already knew the steps that they needed to take in order to become successful. And now look at you. And like I said, we met more than a year ago. And I believe we met over at the Ernestine Shepherd when she was here in Washington more than a year ago. And I had the opportunity to absolutely taste your food. And matter of fact, I think I brought like 2-3 dishes and I used them for my lunch during the week. And I'm very impressed. I really enjoyed the food. I love the balance of it as well. And I felt like that, I wasn't over full, but I was full and not and happy about it. Because a lot of times we all want to eat and we just want to keep eating because it tastes good, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're still hungry, right?
Right. Like
right.
A lot of things really get where we want to be, we can't get full.
Right.
We don't want to do that. And just to kind of go back to what you were saying, the collaboration, was a big part of it. I'm a God-fearing man, so I definitely believe that God, intended for Daniel and I's paths to cross, at that juncture in my life. But I was willing to work for free. And that's something a lot of people don't want to, hear or want to accept. To really be, an entrepreneur, you're going to have to invest in yourself. And sometimes that investment is not only monetary, but what we consider sweat equity. So I had to put some sweat into it. And not be compensated. But during that time, that process, I was learning the ropes. I burnt a lot of dishes, over seasoned a lot of dishes. I failed my way, to success, and I just never quit. I never gave up. So I feel like every successful person, they stand on a mountain of their own failures, but you just can't. You can't be easily deterred. You got to keep pushing, keep striving, regardless of what things look like. That consistency, it eventually pays off.
Right. And you're right. And I like what you just said about the sweat equity. You're absolutely right that there comes a point in the business, especially when you're new, that you're going to have to allow people to sample. You have to figure out what your real niche is going to be and how people are going to be receptive to what you're doing. And a big part of it is because not everybody, everybody thinks they can cook, right? Everybody believes they can make the best chicken. Everybody believes that they can make the best potatoes or pies or whatever the case may be. But the big part of that is that there's millions of other people out here doing the same thing. So you had to figure out a way to stand out. And you understood that it meant that trying, like I said, you kept that passion. And that's what's important about understanding business. Now, obviously, nobody wants to constantly work for free forever, but because you believed in what you're doing, you have excelled in to look at where you're at now. So, you're operating your own business, you're preparing to get a food truck, you're partnering, you're doing all types of things in order to make your business continuous success. So with this being continuous success, though, talk about the challenges. Everybody goes through challenges in business. So point out some things that challenged you and how you've continued to survive beyond those challenges.
I think one of the biggest challenges is finance, for any up and coming entrepreneur, just where does the money come from? And so you have to find a way to fund your dream. And you may have to work a 9 to 5, but you build your future on your 5 to 9. And that was something that I was definitely willing to do. Another challenge, especially if you're talented, people will come along and offer you obscene amounts of money that you may need, but it may turn into something that you really not expecting for it to be, and people have come to me and say, hey, I'll give you $40,000 for 50% of your business, but I want 50% of everything you do, moving forward. And even though the money was enticing, I never wanted to be in a situation where someone owned me, because if I wanted
Right.
to be in that situation, then I would have just stayed in the workforce. I didn't become an entrepreneur to have a boss. I became an entrepreneur because I felt like I got to the point where nobody could supervise myself and my skill set better than I could for myself.
Mm-hmm. And
Another
right. Mm-hmm.
is finding good people. My mom always preached to me character over competence.
Mm-hmm.
So I will work with a person based on their character before I work with somebody based on what it is that they can do. Because I can teach you what I need to teach you, but I can't make you be who I need you to be. And as an
Absolutely.
entrepreneur, your name, your reputation is everything. I'm a
Right.
brand. I hate to say it like that. It might sound, a little arrogant or a little cocky, but I'm a brand within myself. And most brands are people. McDonald's is someone's last name. These are last names. And so you're thinking that you're buying into a brand, but you're really buying into a family name. And
Exactly.
I see myself as building a legacy for my children and my grandchildren,
Mm-hmm.
just as, McDonald's and Hertz and, all these different people have done for themselves and their families. Um, Another challenge is just, you a lot of sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't really truly understand the word sacrifice. A sacrifice is giving up something that you love, giving up something that you love.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Dating, going out, vacationing,
Mm-hmm.
sleep, whatever it may be. If the goal is the most important thing, the goal comes first. So there were times when I might have been in a tremendous amount of physical pain. I was uncomfortable. My pockets weren't padded the way that I wanted them to be. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, I always tried to keep, the goal in mind. And so even though I'm not where I know God is going to take me, I'm miles away from, where I started off. And I'm grateful for that, every day.
Right. And you're right. And the challenges that you're talking about really to me aren't challenges. It's a part of the process, right? Because we don't come out swinging, most people think when they start a business that they're like, oh, I got a business, it's built and people are just going to start coming. That is not how a business is ran. And at the end of the day, like when you're talking about the financial piece of it, the financial pieces comes with help of having a business plan that'll also help you excel, because everybody wants to see your vision the way you see it. And it's one thing, they said, to borrow money or people want to give you money, but like you said, some money's not always good money. And so you definitely want to make sure that you make those right decisions, which obviously you have done that. And I like the fact that you talked about the statement of that, you keep your 9 to 5 and then, but your business also could become a 5 to 9. I love that statement. And you're absolutely right. When you're trying to build your dreams, it's not about giving up those things that you had before, because at the end of the day, those responsibilities that you have never go away. Right? No matter what dreams you are trying to build and no matter what it is you're trying to prepare yourself, but you maintain everything that you can in order to continue making those dreams exactly what you wanted them to be. And here you have accomplished that. So I love the fact that you talked about these things, and of course, sacrificing. Anybody who's going in business or anything that you want to do good in life, you're going to make sacrifices, whether you like it or not, right? It just comes with the territory. So
I tell people all the time who want to start their own business, like, anybody can be an employee, but you got to earn a right to be an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
You earn a right, to chase your dreams. Like it's not free, and it takes a little bit more, to build a brand, a name, a reputation for yourself. But once you build it, you become so protective. Like my business is like my child. So I don't just let anybody watch it. I don't just let anybody near it or around it, because anybody that I bring into it is a representation of me. And the person, my client, is not going to say, Dominic hired a bad chef or a bad server. They're going to say, finishing touches culinary, drop the ball. Finishing touches, And as an African American, I feel like we're always fighting that stigma of bad customer service. There's always that looming over us that, people feel like that we're known to offer bad customer service when it comes to our people dealing with our people. And so I'm always going above and beyond, to treat people.
Right.
I'm happy that they chose me, because there's so many other chefs and people that can cook that they could have chose. So I make sure that they know that I appreciate them choosing me if I just make one meal for them or if I'm catering their wedding. I try to show everybody that same appreciation.
Right. And you're absolutely right. The big thing that you touched on, and it's a big pet peeve of mine, is customer service. Everywhere you go today, people act like customer service is something unique, and it should be just known, right? It should be something that you automatically do no matter what the services or product that you're providing. And I would love that you are taking that extra step to ensure that your customers are getting that touch, because it follows your name, like you said, your brand, finishing touches. Everything from the start to the middle to the end is what is your brand is based on. And so the name fits you perfectly. And I'm glad that you recognize how important the customer service is within your industry, or with any industry. Like I said, I think it's become something that is, people act like they're doing you a favor instead of realizing that good customer service is what brings people back consistently.
Right. What happens a lot is that the people who represent you or who are out front at certain times are just employees, so they don't often embody the morals and standards of the owners, of these companies. So the person on the cash register could have turned you off because whether the restaurant got 100 visitors that day or one visitor that day, they got paid the same amount. So it's a different mentality that comes along with ownership. So you treat every client, as if they're a value asset, because they are.
Absolutely.
And it's important to let everybody who's attached to your business make sure that they understand that we're in a hospitality industry.
Absolutely.
And the first thing that any business person has to learn to sell is themselves. If you can't sell yourself, you can't sell anything else. So what is it that's going to differentiate you from the next vendor in any field that you're in? What is that's going to make people choose you? I mean, of course, we live in a social media age, so you can have 50,000 Instagram followers and you can get a celebrity endorsement, and that might give you a spike, but longevity comes from just the things that people expect, when they come through the door. When people go to Chick-fil-A, they're expecting to get great customer service.
Absolutely.
You can get a sandwich anywhere, but the customer service is what pushes the business over the edge and keeps the business thriving.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And I just want to take a couple seconds here. I know we're running close to getting out of time, but you do have some individuals here that are reaching out to you. And Gwen wanted me to tell you that you are the best chef ever. So I wanted you to know that. I was like, you have some popularity people here in the background. And like, yes, they love you. So I wanted to make sure we brought up their comment, and I appreciate those comments because it also lets our guests know that how special they are. And you're definitely right. I believe Chef Dominic is the man, and as we call him, Chef Dom, though. So I just want to call you Chef Dominic. I don't know why, but whatever works, right? So, all right. So tell us, though, a little bit more about the business side. If you had an individual who was going to walk up to you today and say, I want to go into business, what other piece of advice would you give them?
If they wanted to start their own business, or if they wanted to go into business with me?
If they just want to go into business for themselves, or even if they wanted to come into business with you, what piece of advice would you give them?
If they wanted to go into business for themselves, I would tell them not to listen to anybody, even their sales sometimes. Because sometimes your biggest detractor is yourself. You get worried, you get tired, you get tired of dealing with people, you become drained, and you're like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't understand, why this is happening. I read a book, I believe it was the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell, and it had a chapter in it called 2 Feet from Gold. And it talked about a man who bought a gold mine, the gold rush in San Francisco. He dug and dug and dug and dug, and he sold it to somebody because he thought that he would never strike gold. And the person that he sold it to dug 2 more feet and hit one of the biggest gold veins, that was ever discovered. And sometimes, right when we're ready to give up, is right at that point, when it's about to happen for you. So just keep pushing, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of what it feels like. Make sure that what you're doing is your passion and it doesn't feel like work. People can inspire you, but motivation has to come from within.
Absolutely.
So you gotta love it to be motivated, to doing it every day. If someone wanted to come into business with me, you have to be good at something that I'm not good at. I don't like to work with people we have overlapping skill sets.
Okay.
We kind of have to fit each other's gaps, so to speak. So you have to be strong, in an area where I'm weak. And I feel like that a big part of success is being honest with yourself. You can't pretend like you're good at everything. You got to know your strong points and focus on those, and then surround yourself with people who are strong in areas where you're not so strong, so that as a team, you're complete. But as individuals, we all are flawed. And so I'm really big on team. I think that camaraderie, comes from me playing sports, football. My high school team, we were lucky enough to go to like 3 straight state championships. And it's because our team, was like a family, and we all covered each other. We had each other backs, and we all played our position, so somebody got to throw the ball, somebody got to catch the ball, and somebody got to run the ball. But if you're trying to throw the ball and catch the ball and run the ball, you're not going to get very far. So you got to make sure that you have people around you who you can trust to play their position, people that are accountable. You got to kind of put your feelings, and for us males, we got to put that pride and that ego to the side. If I burnt something, I burnt it. If I overspent on something, I overspent on something. If I never can admit to myself that I did something wrong, then I'm never going to fix it. And there's no growth where there's no accountability.
Oh, absolutely. Boy, you ended that well. And you're absolutely right. I love that. The fact that you pointed out how important it is to know your weaknesses and realize that it's okay to have those weaknesses. And if you're going to have somebody on board with you, how important it is that they cover that piece and make sure that they're just as good, if not better, at what it is that you're doing. And so that you guys can continue to grow. I love that. So it has been a pleasure having you on the show this evening. Do you have any last words?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I said it's a pleasure having you on the show this evening. Do you have any last words?
Oh, for just any up and coming entrepreneurs, now is a great time. Now is a great time to jump into the workforce. Now is a great time to capitalize on the popularity of social media. It's the best free advertising, that you can get. Social media can't be your business.
Right.
It can just enhance your business. It enhances what you do good, but it cannot be, your business. You got to put some action and some sweat, behind it, and then promote, those things that you do. But purely promoting, isn't going to get it done for you. And if you work hard enough and you want it, it'll happen for you.
All right. Well, again, thank you for sharing your story. But before you leave, please tell everyone how they can get a hold of you.
Thank you, Kimberly.
You're welcome. You want to tell everybody how they can get a hold of you?
Oh, okay. Well, you can check me out on Instagram _chef_Dom. You can reach out to our website, www.finishingtouchesculinary.com. You can call me personally, 301-785-5209. I'm on available any time of day. I don't turn my nose down at anything. So, feel free to reach out, give me a call. I do consultations, I do meal prep, catering. I'll come to your house and cook for you, personal chef services. If you have a wedding, if your mom is turning 50, any of these types of momentous occasions that you may need a chef or a caterer, feel free to reach out to me.
All right. Again, thank you for coming on the show tonight. You have a wonderful evening, and we hope to talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. All right, everyone. As I just said, we just had our chef Dom on with us this evening. I love the big part of the statement that he shared, and what I actually read is that understanding that your health determines your wealth, and your medicine cabinet should be in your refrigerator. So his healthy cooking provides that. So if you are, again, in need of wanting to learn more about Chef Don, please reach out to him through www.finishingtouchesculinary.com. And so it was a pleasure having him on the show. But before I end the show this evening with myself, I wanted to just touch bases on a couple of things I have going on throughout the community myself that I wanted to share with you. First of all, if you would like to be a guest on the show, all you need to do is to provide me a short bio, a pic, and a business logo. And you want to send that to Kimberly at WSBILLC.com. Again, please send that information to Kimberly at WSBILLC.com if you would like to be a guest in 2019. Also, I wanted to share with you briefly is the fact that I have a couple of things, like I said, going on in the community. Right now, I have a huge campaign going on that I wanted to share about my new book, because I am, for those who don't know who I am, I'm also author Kimberly McLemore. So I have a few books out there that I have written for the last few years, but my big new book has been released through Kindle. And so I would like for you all to go on to Kindle and get my book, Are You Living or Are You Existing? And the Pros and Cons of Balancing Life. And you can get that book currently right now for $3.99. And hey, help me reach my goal. My goal is to become bestseller with this book. So I hope that you all will take the opportunity to realize that life is what you make of it. And that's what this book is about. So I'm going to teach you some steps and make you understand if you're not reaching those goals that you need to reach in order to live your best life, then this is the book for you. And then, of course, I also want to just quickly talk a little bit about the other new workshop that I have coming up in August. I'm going to be going back to Eastern Pennsylvania and hanging out with some of the most wonderful people in Eastern Pennsylvania with Christy and Miss Wander, and we got Michelle Dolfinger. We are all going to be putting on a phenomenal self-publishing workshop. I will be facilitating and a networking brunch, and entrepreneurs networking brunch, of course. And we're going to be talking about a lot of things from marketing and everything else you could possibly think of. So we're really excited about this. This is going to be on August the 17th. All of the tickets are actually up for sale right now, and you can purchase them. You can go right through my Facebook page, and you can find that through author Kimberly and McLemore. You can get that information. Actually, you can get them on any of my social media platforms, which I am on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I am on YouTube, you name it, we're there. But again, I really enjoyed having Chef Dom on my show this evening. For everyone else, I will be back again next week with another new show. And we're going to have on my favorite two people, Lady K and Mr. T. So they're going to be having this show called Moments with Lady K and Mr. T. So chime in back with us next Thursday evening, same time, same place. Have a good evening and good night.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.wsbillc.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.